Is the way you're structuring your training week hindering your ability to build muscle? Today, we're going to be talking about how to structure your week to get the most out of your program. So how is muscle added to your frame? Through a process called muscle protein synthesis. When muscle protein synthesis exceeds muscle protein breakdown, that's when we build muscle. How do we stimulate muscle protein synthesis? Through eating protein and through lifting weights. So once we finish up training, muscle protein synthesis pretty much starts straight away. It peaks between 5 and 24 hours and then starts to level out about 36 hours afterwards, returning you to that baseline. With this in mind, structuring your training week to sort of leverage muscle protein synthesis would make a lot of sense. The traditional bro split, in which we train a muscle part once per week, so you train it and then 7 days later you train it again, is probably not in line with the process of muscle protein synthesis. If we're training it once a week, we're probably not going to be getting the most out of our training program. In a training session that focuses on one specific body part, how much actual quality work can you do? After your first set, if you are training close to failure, the following sets are probably going to be impacted by the fatigue that's dripped in from that first set. We'll work through a worked example in the video just to see what can actually happen when we train one body part throughout a day versus spreading that training volume throughout the course of a week. So when trying to build muscle, programs that are biased towards higher volumes are probably going to help you build as much muscle as you possibly can. Now, this isn't to say that more volume is always better, taking into account an individual's training age, how well they recover from training, all plays a big role in determining how much volume someone can actually tolerate. Starting with more is not always better, so I just thought I would lay that out there first before going through this example. With the traditional bro split, a single body part split or a single body part session, we see someone train, say chest for example, they'll pick 4 to 5 exercises and just absolutely obliterate their chest. So from what we learn about muscle protein synthesis, it probably makes sense to train a body part multiple times per week. That way we're constantly stimulating muscle protein synthesis, and that way we're getting the most out of our program. We're gonna have a look at how a single body part per day training split can potentially impact the total amount of volume that you can actually hit in your sessions. The example we're gonna look at is just a typical chest day, and for the sake of the example, we're gonna assume that the lifter is equally strong across all exercises. So on a good day, if they were to hit an exercise fresh, they can hit 20 kilos for every exercise, irrespective of whether that's a dumbbell press, a fly, a crossover, whatever it is. These are sets, these are reps, and this is the load used, and that's total load. In the first exercise, they're able to hit 4 sets of 10 at 20 kilos, which will equal a total of 800. Fatigue sets in, and then that impacts the total amount of load they can use for their second exercise. Fatigue sets in further, and that impacts the amount of load they can use for that third exercise. So as you can see, exercise that they should be able to hit 20 kilos on, it actually just lowers throughout, which will impact the total amount of volume that they hit for that session. Now compare that to spreading volume over the course of a training week. On day one, they hit their dumbbell press, they're able to hit 4 sets of 10 at 20 kilos. On their second day, they hit their chest flies with 20 kilos and they're able to hit all 4 sets like that. And then on day 3, they're able to hit another pressing variation for the same load. And this will show that you can hit overall greater training volume throughout the course of the week. Improved recovery between sessions is allowing the lifter to hit higher quality, hard training sets. The bro split example, if you are training hard, right, you'll see that fatigue will set in and you'll have no choice but to hit less training volume. Now just to summarize what we've spoken about in the video so far, increasing training frequency is going to increase the amount of times that you're stimulating muscle protein synthesis for a specific muscle. And if you're spreading your training volume over the course of the week, you can potentially increase the amount of high quality hard sets for a specific muscle. This isn't to say that more training volume is better, right? There comes a point of diminishing returns for a specific individual. If they're not recovering from the amount of training volume, it's probably too much. Now, what does this mean for you and your training split? Potentially moving to a higher frequency training split will be the go. So moving away from single body parts or even strictly upper and lower. What we tend to use quite a bit here at Strength Culture would be like a predominantly upper or a predominantly lower training split, where the day will have a specific focus, mostly upper body with a little bit of lower body in there, or vice versa, predominantly lower body with a bit of upper body sprinkled through. Now you're probably thinking, how much work do I do per week? Just for the sake of this video, we're not going to go into those details. If you want, have a look at James Krieger's Volume Bible or Mike Israel's Volume Landmarks for a way to start thinking about where you should start with your training week and how much volume you should be hitting. Or to plug our own, Didier Vassou has done a video on how much training volume you should be hitting. Check that out. The link will be in the description below. Now, if you have any questions about how you can start to apply this in your own training, don't hesitate to reach out. Drop a comment below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the video. And as always, happy lifting.